Okay, good evening and welcome to the June 2026 meeting of the Omaha Public Power District Board of Directors. Thank you all for joining us remotely via WebEx. I hope you and your loved ones are staying safe and healthy. Online today are my fellow board members Amanda Bogner, Mike Kavanaugh, Sarah Howard, John Hudson, Craig Moody, Mary Spurgeon, and Eric Williams. We also have CEO Javier Fernandez, Vice President and General Counsel Pete Fisher, Tim Talkin with the Fraser Stryker Law Firm, and members of our board meeting support staff. OPPD's executive leadership team and subject matter experts also are participating in today's meeting via WebEx. Additionally, we currently have about 50 attendees on WebEx consisting of OPPD employees and members of the public. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'll now ask a member of OPPD's physical security team to provide the safety briefing.
Welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. Because safety is our top priority, we begin each meeting with a few physical, cybersecurity, and psychological safety reminders. If you're not feeling well, hopefully you're staying at home, resting, getting hydration, and seeking any medical attention as needed. No matter where you're located, always be aware of any emergency exits, first aid equipment, AEDs, fire extinguishers, and any severe weather shelters. Always remember to keep your area free of slip, trips, and hazards and stay alert for changing conditions. In the event of an emergency, please dial 911. If anybody needs any assistance, we can try to work with you to get that assistance to you if you simply put that in chat or say something out loud or raise your hand. Reference cybersecurity, always be cautious with suspicious emails and unknown links. Do not click anything that seems untrustworthy. And then those of us internally can use our own in-house fish alert button. For psychological safety, psychological safety is essential for productive collaboration. Encourage curiosity and continuous learning. Speak and act with respect. Embrace constructive conflict. Value diverse perspectives. Build trust through transparency, and always give everyone a voice and invite questions and ideas. Finally, let's remember OPPD's core values. We have a passion to serve, we honor our community, and we care for one another. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you, Josh. Like I did on Tuesday, I wanted to take a moment to address some recent events in our community before we start today. Public power has always been rooted in open, civil dialogue. We value passionate debate, differing viewpoints, and the transparency that allows our customer owners to hold us accountable. That openness is a principle this board and OPPD take seriously. Over the last few weeks, several of our elected board members and members of OPPD leadership have been subjected to repeated personal harassment and implicit intimidation outside of normal public engagement channels. While we welcome critique of our decisions, conduct that targets individuals personally or attempts to influence our work through fear is unacceptable. These matters have been referred to the appropriate authorities, and we won't comment further so as to not interfere with ongoing review. Efforts that put our employees, our board members, or our public facilities at risk are not part of the public power governance and decision-making process. We remain steadfast in our commitment to public engagement, respectful discourse, and the open exchange of ideas that will continue to ensure that our collectively owned utility lives up to the highest ideals of public power. Our focus, as always, remains on safely delivering our customer owners reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy services while living our core values of passion, honor, and care. Thank you for partnering with us to keep our community conversations productive, civil, and most importantly, safe for all involved. All right. With that, let's run through our guidelines for conduct of the meeting. This regular board meeting will follow the agenda made available to the public on OPPD.com. This meeting is being conducted via WebEx video conferencing and is being recorded. Our board meetings have public comment periods on the agenda. Comments made by all parties during the meeting are part of the official public record. After the introduction of action items, board members will ask clarifying questions of staff, and then I'll ask for public comment. After public comment, the board will conduct its discussion of the matter and then vote. Also, before we adjourn, there will be an opportunity to comment on any other matters of district business. We'll take comments via WebEx. For WebEx attendees, if you wish to make a comment, please send the meeting host a message using the chat feature or utilize the hand raise feature. Detailed instruction can be found on the OPPD website at the link shown on the screen. When I call on a member of the public to speak, please affirm that we can hear you before commencing with your comments. Please state your name, address, and the name of any organization or person you represent. Each individual will be allotted 3 minutes per matter pending. To assist you, we'll use the timer on the screen and signal you when 30 seconds remain. as well as when time is up. If you have written materials, please email them to corporatesecretary@oppd.com and they'll be received on our behalf. For all attendees, please direct your comments to me. I'll either respond to you directly or defer response to another board member or officer of the district. The board values and welcomes civil, respectful, clear, and concise communication from the public. During public comments, speakers should refrain from repetitious, profane, or irrelevant comments. Speakers shall refrain from polling the board as such vote is not on the agenda and is prohibited by law. Ms. Lane, will you please take the roll?
Director Wagner,
Here.
Director Kavanaugh, having technical difficulties. Director Corr,
Here.
Director Howard,
Here.
Director Hudson, Director
Here.
Moody,
Here.
Director Spurgeon, Director
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Thank you. Notice of the time and place of this meeting was publicized by notifying the area news media, by publicizing in the Omaha World Herald and Nebraska Press Association, OPPD outlets newsletter, OPPD.com, and social media, by displaying such notice on the first level of OPPD administrative offices, and by emailing such notice to each of the district's directors on June 12, 2026. A copy of the proposed agenda for this meeting has been maintained on a current basis and is readily available for public inspection in the office of the district's corporate secretary. Additionally, a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available for inspection on OPPD.com and in this meeting room. Our consent agenda action items this evening are item 6, approval of the April 2026 financial reports, May 2026 meeting minutes, and June 18, 2026 agenda. Item 7, SD15 Enterprise Risk Management Monitoring Report, Resolution number 6768. And item 8, acquisition of land rights for utility operations infrastructure projects, Southeast Bellevue Transmission Project, Resolution number 6769.
All right, thank you, Aaron. If there are no corrections, changes, or additions to consent agenda items, I need a motion and a second to approve the items.
Motion to
So
approve.
moved. Second.
Second.
All right, thanks. We discussed these action items at the All Committees meeting on Tuesday, June 16th. Do any members of the public on WebEx have a comment? Please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can press *3 to raise their hand.
No comments.
Okay, with no comments, Ms. Lane, will you take the roll?
Wagner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Corr,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Spurgeon,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. The board discussion action item 9, SD2, Rates Monitoring Report, Resolution number 6770. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District accepts the SD2 Rates Monitoring Report attached hereto and made a part hereof and finds OPPD to be sufficiently in compliance with the policy as stated.
Director Corr, motion to approve.
Thank you, Director Moody. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, thanks. With that, would any directors like to make a comment on this item?
Yeah, Director Corr, I'll just tee this up real quick. The Finance Committee received the monitoring report through committee and is bringing a recommendation to find the district compliant with the strategic directive as written. A few things to highlight here. Notably, we have a goal to be 10% below the regional average peer set that we've established. The actual percentage below is 18.7. That is probably the keystone metric that all of us look to when we look to determine how we're performing with respect to rates. we acknowledge and know that our ratepayers are particularly aware of what they pay every month. And so this has been a high focus, not only for the board, but for the district writ large, and our ability to stay that far below the peer set is really a testament to exceptional work across the district. Also of note, we're 30% below the national average, so those we're performing extraordinarily well. A couple more things to mention here. About what I appreciated. One, we saw some good progress on a reducing residential electricity burden. It's gone down over time, and that's really good news for us. And then last thing that I'll mention here is that I appreciated some really actionable data in the monitor report related to that energy burden that I talked about a moment ago, and also related financial support that the district provides to our customer owners, looking at it on a zip code basis. Again, really helpful, really insightful, really actionable. So I'm pleased about the report, and I'm pleased with the progress that the district has made on rates. I'll yield. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other directors that would like to make a comment?
Well, I will just pile on with the approval of how low our rates are in comparison to an abundance of other utilities. And that is not done without a lot of work from an awful lot of teams, an awful lot of people at the district. So my appreciation for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Spurgeon. Are there any other directors that would like to make a comment?
Director Williams here.
Go ahead.
Thank you. OPPD continues to lead in our region and nationally on affordability in all rate classes, as highlighted by Director Moody and discussed on Tuesday in the presentation of this report. There are areas where I would like to see additional work going forward. Director Moody mentioned the idea of energy burden, and I think we have some work to do to understand progress toward outcomes on energy burden based on the actions we have taken. We highlighted the way in which we deliver energy assistance, but there have been similar maps over many years that reflect a continuing disproportionately high energy burden in some parts of our community. Are our steps sufficient to meet the goals of the organization going forward? I think that's an area where we should spend some additional time in the future. I also mentioned on Tuesday that I think we need to continue to investigate whether the impact of extremely large customers is adequately understood by the board and by our customer owners, and the potential for a fourth rate class, specifically for high voltage transmission interconnected customers, so that we can provide clarity to the public on what impacts they may or may not be having, and to assure people that we are not seeing any impacts between different rate classes, as is outlined in the rate making practices and state law. But the bottom line for me, based on the metrics in the language of SD2 that we have right now, and the continued significant cost advantage that OPPD has in the residential, commercial, and industrial classes over similar utilities at both the regional and the national level, I support the resolution that we are meeting the objectives, and I'm glad to vote in support today. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Director Williams. Are there any other directors that have comments? Not seeing any. Aaron, do you see any?
No public comments. Oh, wait, hold on. One person.
Yep, I'll go to that. Yeah, do any member, I just want to make sure I wasn't missing a director.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Do any members of the public on WebEx have a comment? Please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can press *3 to raise their hand.
Hannah S.
I was just wondering if I could have a definition of what a extremely large customer is from Eric Williams.
Yeah, Director Williams, do you care to speak to that?
At your discretion, Chair. We don't generally engage here, but if you'd like me to, I can clarify what I was referring to.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
We talked briefly on Tuesday that we do have a particular rate that is reflected for high voltage transmission interconnected customers. That's rate 261. So the standards for extremely large customers, according to OPPD, are defined there. And that would be where I'd like to see some additional investigation. And to be more specific, the types of customers that are there now are essentially large data centers. Others could also be there, but that's how we understand the people who are in that rate class now. I'm sorry, in that rate now, and where I think a rate class might be appropriate. Thanks.
All right, Hannah S., was that the end of your comment?
Yeah, it raises some further questions, but that's okay.
All right. Well, thank you for your comment. Aaron, are there any other comments online?
Phone number ending in 76.
That phone number, if you can hear me, please go ahead. If anyone online has a phone number ending in 76, you can begin with your comment. And Aaron, are there any other comments?
This is David Bagley, 4611
go
South
ahead.
96th Street. Yes, and on this other rate class, and I told you several months ago, you should have had a separate rate class for the data centers a long time ago. And I mean, I guess better late than never, but I mean, just more, I'll say government action, lack of precision, bureaucracy, whatever. I mean, just really foolishness. And then you're patting yourselves on the back about being 30% lower than the national average. OPPD should be way lower. You should be probably the lowest in the nation. And the reason why is because OPPD does not have a profit motive, but you have subbed it out to these private companies like NextEra and Sand Hills Energy, and they all have a profit motive, and that gets incorporated into those PPA prices. What you've done is, rather than build large industrial scale plants like North Omaha Station and Fort Calhoun Station, you've subbed it out to all these little tiny windmills and solar farms, and it's just a burden to ratepayers. And then, you know, for the first time, I'm hearing about personal attacks on board members and employees. Well, it's not me, and I'm guessing it's the left, and I'm guessing they're all fired up about North Omaha Station, which I think I've told the board before, one of my axioms is the left is never satisfied. If you shut down North Omaha Station tomorrow completely, they still wouldn't be satisfied. So it's a fool's errand to try to placate the left about carbon dioxide or sulfur or whatever. And that's all I have for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Lane, are there any other comments online?
John Pollock.
Mr. Pollock, please go ahead. Mr. Pollock, can you hear me? Aaron, if there are any other comments, maybe we'll come back to that listener.
It looks like he just unmuted, so maybe we could try John Pollock. If not, we do not have any other comments on this item.
Okay, Mr. Pollock, checking in one more time if you can hear me. And if you're having troubles, please send a message and we'll come back to your comment. Okay. Aaron, will you take roll, please?
Bogner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Core,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Spurgeon,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion carried 8-0. The second discussion action item is SD2 rates policy revision, resolution number 6771. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District that the proposed revisions of Board Policy SD2 rates are approved effective June 18th, 2026, as set forth in Exhibit A attached hereto.
Director Core, motion to approve, please.
Thank you, Director Moody. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Would any directors like to comment on this item?
Yes, sir. I'll tee it up again. The Finance Committee received and has been working with recommendation from staff with respect to this particular SD, and more specifically, the team did a really good job of examining the peer set that we use to compare how we're performing. It is interesting, but not entirely valuable for us to compare to the national data set. What we're more interested in is comparing ourselves to peers that are as similar to us as we possibly can. And so in doing so, the team brought forth a recommendation to eliminate 2 states, Illinois and Indiana, from our peer set and to fold in Minnesota and North Dakota as better peer sets. The Finance Committee reviewed this more than a couple of times. We had a lot of conversation around it. It was brought to the full board just over a month ago in our Tuesday all-committee meeting. It was then socialized with the public for public comment. We received a few. In short, the board is pretty comfortable with the direction that this is going. And to me, I think one of the things that's noteworthy here is the change in peer set. When you compare old peer set versus new peer set and look at 2025 data, which is tentative, we are 20% below the old peer set, and we are 12.8% below the new peer set. So in other words, it's going to be harder for us to achieve the goal that we've set. The target goal that we set remains, which is 10% below that regional average. So the long and short of it, from my standpoint, is we are more dialed in on a better peer set that gives us more apples to apples comparison, and it's going to really continue to push the district to do everything it can to keep rates in line with what that target has set for us. So Finance Committee's happy with it, brings it forward for recommendation. I'll personally say a lot of gratitude to the team that worked on this. It's been a good process. I'll yield. Thank you, Director Core.
Thank you. Are there any other directors that would like to comment?
Yes, please. Spurgeon here. I'll just note that when the last revision was made with the states of Illinois, Iowa, Indiana, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, and South Dakota, they were suggested because they are essentially the same latitude. We share similar weather. I was persuaded by the good arguments brought forward for the change because now the set is all pretty much in the Southwest Power Pool area, and we have similar generation regulations and similar methods of generation. If we exclude Illinois and Indiana, we get into a much more homogeneous area, and instead of utilities to compare ourselves against. So I think that that is a great change. I think the continued pursuit of the directional goal of 10% below the regional average ensures that we will continue to pinch every nickel until the buffalo squeals on in this regard. So I'm in favor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any other directors that would like to comment on this item? All right, not seeing any. Do any members of the public on WebEx have a comment? Please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can press *3.
Anthony Wright.
Mr. Wright, go ahead, please.
Yes, regarding the removal of Indiana and Illinois, I'm wondering if the board considered the fact that Indiana has 123 approximate data centers in operation right now, and Illinois has 239, and if that skews your analysis or your data in any way by potentially artificially lowering what you're by now removing those two states and not comparing yourselves to them. Those rates, those customer rates have gone up because of those data centers. So I'm wondering if that was put into consideration when you decided to remove them. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Do any other members of the public have a comment?
No other comments.
Okay, thank you then. Ms. Lane, please take the roll.
Wagner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Hoare,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Spurgeon,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Our third discussion action item is corporate officer performance reviews and compensation adjustments, resolution number 6772. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District that the compensation adjustment for the corporate officers Kathleen W. Brown, Timothy D. McAravey, Scott M. Foch, Troy R. Vi, Clifford B. Fleener, Gina M. Langle, and Bradley R. Underwood, as set forth on Exhibit A attached hereto, be and hereby is approved.
Chair Core, I move adoption of this resolution.
Thank you. And board, this requires a second.
Second.
Are there any directors that would like to comment on this item?
Chair Core, if I might begin, I'd like to give a little background information and foundational information on this item. In the first year I was in this office, I was invited to speak to a group, several members of which expressed real disdain and resentment of having to live in a place where there was no competition for electrical energy service. Well, if there are any similarly minded individuals listening now, let me assure you that OPPD has competition for pretty much everything. Wire, wooden poles, transformers, new generators, and it's really not a good idea if you're in line behind other countries who are buying for their whole nation. So on and so forth. Skilled craft labor, pipe fitters, linemen, electrical engineers, electric planners, and so on. The list also includes skilled executives who also have experience in working for a utility. OPPD is competing with pretty much every other electrical utility in the United States. The entire electrical energy industry is in the midst of a huge transformation, not seen really since electricity started being distributed across the United States, and this will continue for many years. In addition, the OPPD service territory has been impacted by significant, perhaps we could say exploding growth, accompanied by requests for electrical service to which OPPD may not say no, but must answer yes, as required by state law. The challenge is to be able to serve new customers as well as serving requests for expansion of existing customers, and it is immense. Skilled and knowledgeable professionals are required in order to lead and respond to that challenge. And this is the slate of people who you see before you. Let me explain about midpoint and the percent to midpoint that you see in the third and the fifth columns. However, first let me introduce a new term, market rate adjustment. Market rate adjustment. A market adjustment raise is a salary increase based on industry-wide compensation levels, aiming to match the pay rates of other companies in the industry. An organization like OPPD uses a market rate adjustment so that salaries are competitive to attract and retain talent. It is especially important when industry data reveals a high demand and talent shortage in professionals. Market adjustment raises may be offered during annual performance or compensation reviews to make sure that employees' salaries remain fair and competitive. The specific numbers are given as a percent to the midpoint, as you see there on the chart. A little explanation of the midpoint. The midpoint of salary range has a range of a low of 0, really, which who would want to work for that, and a high of 2 times the midpoint. Given a figure that is 95% of the midpoint, add another 5%, and there you have the midpoint. A few years ago, at the urging of our Vice President of Human Capital at the time, OPPD hired a company that does a survey of the industry to help tell us what salaries should be in order to help OPPD stay competitive. That is, able to both hire and retain skilled and capable workers. For the rest of the workforce, OPPD has adopted 95% of the midpoint, as you see here on this display. They have adopted that 95% of the midpoint for each employee's specific position as the goal for fair and appropriate compensation after they have exhibited satisfactory performance after being in that position for 3 years. You will note that 2 of these very competent professionals in the exhibit on the screen remain below 95% of the midpoint in the proposed increase. That is because they have not yet been in their particular role for a full 3 years. Before I hand this back to the chair for other director comments, I will note that our advisor on compensation recommended to the board of directors that the midpoint, not 95% of the midpoint, but the midpoint be the goal for compensation for our executives in order to better protect against the financial risk of the poaching of our executives by other companies. Should we need to hire to fill one of these positions, we could easily be required to pay 10% more to engage someone. And one more detail. This is the full salary compensation for these remarkable executives. The only addition is that they receive the same benefits package offered to the rest of the OPPD workforce. There is no bonus package, no country club fees, none of that. This is their salary with the benefits package that the rest of the workforce receives. Thank you. I yield to the chair.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from directors?
Yes, Matt, could I comment?
Yeah, please go ahead, Director Kavanaugh.
The comments I'm going to make, rather than duplicating them again when Mr. Fernandez is discussed, my comments will apply to both these next 2 resolutions. As indicated earlier, we did a survey of all our senior staff, and the great majority of the comments from board members were very positive. With that in mind, I certainly support moving all of our senior staff either toward or at midpoints. Therefore, I do support these next 2 resolutions and the subsequent pay raises. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Director Hudson's hand is raised. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, we are fortunate at OPPD to have a very strong, capable, and dedicated executive leadership team. I strongly support these compensation adjustments. I think they're well deserved. We need to ensure that we pay them appropriately to maintain the talent that they bring, the experience that they bring in support of the district.
Thank you. Are there any other directors that have comments? Director Moody's hand is raised. Go ahead, please.
Yep. Thank you, Director Core. Just a couple of comments here. Executives writ large get paid a lot of money. Period, full stop. We are living in a K-shaped economy right now where executive level folks are exceedingly doing well. That's not something that we as a district can be immune to. We operate in that environment. That is a system that we have, and so we have to do our best to navigate that environment. And to me, our fiduciary responsibility leads us towards decisions that are in the best interest of the district and our ratepayers. Chaos at the executive level is not in the best interest of the district. And in many ways, in my view, if we let our salaries lag and if we take a stance of we're going to make a stand and we're going to drive executive level salaries down, that will result in chaos at the executive level. We will have turnover like we've never experienced. And that is not something that I'm terribly interested in pursuing. I don't think that's a smart strategy for us, for our ratepayers, for the district. A few more comments here. I think the visibility that we all have, and I'm naming both the visibility that we as board members have, but certainly the visibility that your average ratepayer has into the day-to-day responsibilities, tasks, accomplishments of our executives is very narrow. We see, they see particular topics arise, there's tension and there perhaps a fevered pitch around a particular topic. But I think one of the things that we've done through this process to make sure that we have an understanding for the duties, expectations, and accomplishments of our executive team as we've examined and we've gotten deeper into understanding exactly what's going on, what the breadth of responsibilities and accomplishments are. And so from my standpoint, it is also not wise to make a decision around a particular executive's performance and thus compensation based on a narrow set of issues where we need to look at a broad set of issues. I think that's continue to be important as the complexity and transformation that we have unfolds. There's going to be a lot of tension around that. The fact is everybody's below the midpoint, even with these raises in place. So in many cases, as the district continues to, or as the industry continues to evolve, the competition for talent is just going to get more fierce. And I like the talent that we have. I want to retain the talent that we have. When brought to us as a slate like this, in essence, we're essentially looking to review all of them all at once. And sure, one board member could say, I'd like this percentage to go higher and this one lower, but ultimately we need to seek compromise. We need to find a landing spot. And I think generally speaking, we as a board have done a good job in working with Javier. Like this is really Javier's team. I look to you, Javier, to advise us and give us direction on how the team is performing and what the team needs. And so I think I've found this year to be a good sort of back and forth between what you're describing, what your vision is, how the team is performing, and the questions that we asked. I'll say going forward, I'm really excited to have more board-driven strategy around this. We've had some really good foundational conversations around executive compensation strategy. I'd like to see those materialize and work their way into something that's more concrete. I don't have an exact idea for what that is, but I like the direction we're headed. I'll yield Director Corr.
All right, thank you. Are there any other directors that have comments?
Yeah, Director Corr, Director Williams. In summary, we evaluate all of the executives in this resolution collectively over the performance period from April till March of the previous year. And it is important to consider all actions across the entire district for all of our customer owners. There are individual examples of actions that deserve additional discussion, and we have talked about various specific actions throughout the course of the last year. But as Dr. Moody pointed out, our fiduciary duty would indicate that we are to evaluate the entire organization on all of the metrics and all of the strategic directives and policies and all of the outcomes for the organization. And with that, I believe that the evaluation of performance as described by our CEO as part of his duties and the compensation adjustment that is in line with the compensation adjustment for the average across the entire organization should be reflected for the executives for their work over the course of the last year. Thank you.
Thank you. Just one last check. Any other directors that have comments? Okay. Are there any members of the public that have a comment on this item? Please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can press *3 to raise their hand.
David Corbin.
Sir, if you can hear me, please go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
David Corbin, 1002 North 49th Street, representing the Missouri Valley Group Sierra Club. I'm concerned about the process, and that is how fast all these things that you just stated to justify voting for this could have been made to the public long ago, and we should have had a chance. In the committee meetings and today's meeting, you used the word transparency and respect many times. This process was not transparent. It was not respectful. And the reason is because you showed the salaries. We didn't know this was coming up. You showed it at the committee meetings. It didn't get posted until late yesterday of what's going on. People were asking me, I was trying to get it. The press was asking me how to get a hold of it, and it wasn't available. So if all of your justification is, as you say, the public had a right to know this ahead of time so that we know where you stand and why you stand where we do. The process was not fair, it was not transparent, and it was not respectful. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Do any other members of the public have a comment?
Ken Winston.
Mr. Winston, if you can hear me, please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to agree with everything that David Corbin said. I looked repeatedly online yesterday to try and find the amounts that salaries are being proposals, and was unable to find them till late last night. And that is not transparent. That's not that violates the message that was earlier stated. Ken Winston on behalf of the Nebraska Sierra Club and our more than 5,000 members and supporters in OPPD service territory. I'm speaking in opposition to the proposed increases for OPPD's management team. I want to emphasize that this is not personal, that I know several of these individuals and find them to be very likable people, and I'm sure they have many professional qualifications. However, this is a matter of trust. When OPPD repeatedly makes promises and then breaks them, many members of the public do not trust anything OPPD says going forward. And when there are no consequences for violating that trust, it exacerbates the problem. Here are some examples. Residential rate increases of 8.4% in 2025 and 6% this year. That's more than 14% in 2 years, or more than $16 per month for the average residential customer. Number two, failure to honor the commitment to retire and refuel North Omaha by 2026 after making repeated promises to retire it after breaking the original promise to retire it in 2023. Number three, failing to follow through on the environmental justice policy enacted as part of SD7. North Omaha has a significant number of people with a high energy burden, as Director Williams mentioned. But OPPD has no plan and has unveiled nothing to address that. And then fourth, presenting the misleading and inaccurate EPRI health study as a rationale for continuing to burn coal in North Omaha. This study has been repeatedly rebutted by numerous public health officials, including Douglas County's Lindsay Hughes. Performance or the lack thereof should be a basis for compensation. Failure to honor commitments and presenting bogus information should have consequences. We recognize that the board will probably approve this. However, we would suggest approving
30
only half
seconds.
of it and devoting the other half to North Omaha. One potential way to do this would be to create a pilot plug-in solar program for people with high energy burden in the North Omaha community. And one comment regarding data center costs, LB 1010 authorizes separate rates for large load customers and requires the operation to pay the full cost of providing electric service and ensure that no cost is passed on to other customers. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other members of the public that have a comment?
Yes, Josh,
Hey, sir, if you can hear me, please go ahead.
Yes, hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, thank you. My name is Josh Monaco. So first of all, the caller just before me covered a lot of the things that I wanted to talk about. Thank you for that, caller. I do want to make sure that these points are brought up when we are, or not we, but you guys are all discussing your achievements over the last year and what you've accomplished. I do think that in my line of work, if I failed to curb a massive public health crisis, I would probably be looking at potentially losing my job rather than getting a raise. And then my other question that I wanted to ask is, what can we as customer owners expect to happen to our electricity bills as a result of these raises? Thank you.
Josh, thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments online?
Terrell McKinney,
Mr. McKinney, if you can hear me, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Terrell McKinney, Land Justice Director with Bold Alliance, 5319 North 30th Street. I'm commenting today to speak against the compensation increases for multiple reasons that have been stated prior. One is not committing and continuing your promise to transition North Omaha Station by the end of 2026. That whole process was disrespectful to the North Omaha community. And from all conversations and things that have occurred throughout the last year, it seems as such that the executive leadership is the reason behind the lack of a transition or a transition plan for North Omaha Station. So it's hard to understand why you are considering compensation increases. I understand the market, I understand everything you're saying, but the market for customers is not great. It's an affordability crisis right now. You've raised rates and still haven't addressed environmental racism concerns in the community. It's kind of, shows what was the same concern in December when you took that vote, that you guys don't care about the concerns of the community. You would think you guys would have some situational awareness or just some common sense to do some things prior to taking a vote like this. But what is shown is that the staff and the board would rather say, "Oh, let's make sure the market is we stick to market concerns and those type of things," while ignoring the concerns of the community around raised rates, environmental racism, still choking out our community because of the coal plant, still with not a full plan because you're waiting on the Southwest Power Pool, who could at any day tell y'all that 2028 isn't the date to transition a coal plant. So it's very disheartening. I would hope and I would hope that you guys would have some more common sense or situational awareness to address the concerns of the community instead of the concerns of executive officers who might just up and leave because you don't want to raise their pay. That should tell you a lot about them more than anything if they just up and leave because you don't want to raise their pay. What about the raising of the rates of people in our community? What about the environmental racism that has
30
occurred for
seconds.
decades? I think you guys should consider that. I'm sure the votes are already there to approve this, but it's not a great look, and I think you guys should take a hard look in the mirror. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments online?
Cheryl Weston,
Ms. Weston, if you can hear me, please go ahead.
I think you can hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Cheryl Weston, 1822 Emmett Street. And I would just say that I echo many of the things that have been said by the previous participants. I just want to put it on the record that when you talked about fiduciary responsibility to these staff members, what about the fiduciary responsibility to the residents? What about that? What about, are you being honest and trustworthy when you say these things? No. And something else that's about to happen is you're not being honest about data centers, because it's coming and there's going to be more of them, while other counties around here in Nebraska are saying no. All of this, OPPD, you cannot be trusted anymore. And to give individuals raises because they might leave, every one of those almost all came to OPPD at lower salaries, and they're not going anywhere. Why would you go somewhere when you keep getting rewarded for poor performance? And it's nothing more than a parade here. And to tell the public, your residents who are rate clients of yours, we're going to do this, and we're going to do it just before the meeting. Where is that honesty and transparency? Don't we owe, or don't you owe, and aren't we entitled to more notice? Even though you're going to do it, at least you could have gave us a larger and an opportunity to be able to voice our opinions. Thank you for the time.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments?
Anthony Wright.
Mr. Wright, if you can hear me, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. And I also concur with the three previous speakers. Per OPPD's website and your frequently asked questions, why didn't OPPD stop burning coal? Your answer was, we understand why some feel disappointed. 2026 was an estimate, and facts in the grid landscape have changed, including regulatory requirement delays. We do know that that plant is being kept open in part to accommodate data centers. Additionally, the frequently asked questions page includes a question about what about the health of people living near the plant? You name that OPPD commissioned a human health and ecological risk assessment, and the study concluded that impacts are below the established EPA thresholds, which we all know now is a lie. Yet the health risk assessment and the frequently asked questions still remain on your website. What I would say to that is last year, Tom Thibodeau, the former coach of the New York Knicks, took his team to the conference finals and was still fired, where Mike Brown was hired and the Knicks won this year. All to say, he actually performed well and lost his job. To Mr. McKinney's point, the fact of the matter is you are getting a reward for not only lying to the people of North Omaha consistently, not being transparent with them, but leaving them in a lurch. And you still haven't been transparent about the fact that you have 10 purple air quality monitors that are not operating in a functional manner. So I would have to concur with the rest of the public. This idea of transparency, if we are really customer owners, we should have much more of a say in people's compensation that work for us. What OPPD is doing right now is acting less like a public power district and more like an investor-owned utility. I have to urge you to at least put this on hold until more federal regulations, which are coming down, including what the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission just said today, that you and SPP have to fast track data centers onto the grid. Let us see what the impacts of that are on our power bills before raising rates. You have raised your salaries, you have raised your rates without our consent, and this is just flat out wrong. Please vote no on this compensation raise. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments?
No more comments.
Okay, without any other comments, Ms. Lane, will you take the roll?
Wagner,
Abstain.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Core,
Yes.
Howard,
Abstain.
Hudson,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Virgin,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. Our last discussion action item is CEO performance review and compensation adjustment, resolution number 6773. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District that the compensation adjustment for the President and Chief Executive Officer, L. Javier Fernandez, as set forth on Exhibit A attached hereto, be and hereby is approved.
Chair Core, I
Oh.
move a vote in acceptance of this recommendation.
Second.
Second.
Okay. With a second, would any directors like to make a comment?
Keep this off. Just as a reminder, the Omaha Public Power District serves 850 to 900,000 people in an area that goes all the way down to the Kansas border. Of course, we're stopped by the river. Lots of counties. And I've heard commenters who I feel like I want to say, I'm so sorry that you have lost your electricity and you haven't had any electrical service, because that is the kind of outrage that would be appropriate for an organization that is whose job, whose mission is to deliver electricity. So if that has happened, I am sorry for that. I do want to talk about why I think our CEO deserves additional compensation. The work that we're talking about here has been done from the period of April 1st, 2025 through March 31st of 2026. Over that time period, the board has accepted and approved the reports of 15 strategic directives. I'd be happy to recite them all if you'd like. And these were either accepted as accomplished or approved as making progress toward the directive when external circumstances outside of OPPD's control prevented full achievement of them. So I won't list them, maybe other directors would like to go through them. Responding to governance directives of protecting OPPD and guarding against risk to OPPD, the leadership team and OPPD's attorneys crafted or helped to craft with Nebraska's other utility leaders bills presented to the Nebraska unicameral legislature to protect public power against both ordinary and not unusual threats to its autonomy and functioning, which happens every year. Somebody wants to put more stuff on our poles for free or something like that. But this year, there were very extraordinary threats to the very existence of the public power model in Nebraska. 2 bills were passed and signed by the governor, one of which had total and complete approval from the unicameral. When has that last happened? The other, which barely passed, but I think when explained by the naysayers, we'll understand why it was passed and why it was helpful, because it relieved a very real and immediate threat of financial peril for OPPD's customer owners. Our CEO and vice presidents and members of their business units have engaged and built healthy relationships with other elected leaders, city council people, county commissioners, or their designees at the state level, senators at the county level, and at the city level in order to make progress in carrying out the directives of the board. OPPD's employees in every business unit and at every level are responsible for OPPD achieving first quartile in customer satisfaction, taking only 3rd place in a ranking of 17 utilities. Our CEO has fostered healthy, helpful relationships with Nebraska's members of Congress. You can decide whether you like them or not, but they are part of the regulatory bodies that OPPD is subject to. It's a contrast that was called out at a recent meeting with other elected officials that we say public power. Well, we are the boss. We can be the boss in our little circle here. But let me tell you, there are three levels above us, including the executive branch of the United States. Okay, so it is necessary to have good relationships with our members of Congress, our two senators, all three members of the House of Representatives, because OPPD serves counties in all three House districts. It's important that laws and regulations crafted at the federal level do not disadvantage publicly owned utilities by failing to be included in laws or rules to govern the operations of investor-owned utilities. Still working on that. And what is that work going to do? It's going to keep us able to deliver affordable electricity. Our CEO, along with leaders of Nebraska's other largest utilities, has developed relationships with leaders of the Department of Energy and the U.S. Treasury, both to advocate for the needs of public power and to report on the realities facing Nebraska's utilities. No, I'm too shy. I can't go do that. They like, oh, we've got to manage this risk. We've got to have conversations. We got to give our point of view. Our CEO has built respectful, trusting relationships with the command structure of Offutt Air Force Base. OPPD supplies the energy for this military base, which is a major hub for jobs in our area, not just in Sarpy County. In May, our CEO accompanied the Admiral Correll in charge of U.S. Stratcom on some travels to honor parts of the military. And maybe he'll tell us about that. I won't say more about that at this time. But it's an honor for him and an honor for Nebraska to be able to do that. Our CEO, along with the CEOs of Lincoln Electric Service, just a city-owned utility whose board of directors are appointed, not elected, but with LES, with the Nebraska Public Power District, and the Grand River Dam Authority, which you probably have never heard of. It's in Oklahoma. And together they formed the Great Plains New Nuclear Consortium, which continues to prepare for the opportunity to build a nuclear power generation plant to be located in Nebraska. He also has represented OPPD, Nebraska, and public power in general at a national conference on new nuclear power as a conference presenter. Currently, OPPD has leadership team members that are working well together and doing a multitude of projects at the same time. There are cross-functional teams working all up and down the utility structure to get the needed work done. This includes continued expansion of our generation facilities and planning for several transmission line projects, two of which are taking place in the city of Bellevue, where we've already started reaching out to the public to let them know about that and get their input. Last month at one of the board meetings, I learned that it takes 5 years for operators of new generation facilities to really learn all the idiosyncrasies of their particular machine, because not one machine is exactly the same as the other. And that is especially true here or in the OPPD generation fleet. I think of how similar those generation stations are to utilities as a whole. Every utility has grown and been developed differently in its own place, along its own timeline, unique, and each has a culture of its own. Every new staff member, and it is especially true, I think, for CEOs, have a timeline to get acquainted, to get up to speed. What's really happening in the utility? OPPD does not have the time to bring in someone new. There's too much work being done. There's too much work that has to be done. And there are 850,000 other people in all of our service territories that depend on that being done. And just to reiterate a little bit, in December, the health of people in all of our service territory depends on electricity every day. And let me just emphasize, you're going to think I'm unkind. I don't mean to be unkind. OPPD has 75%, I think, was cited of the renewable resources in the state of Nebraska are owned and operated by OPPD. So we've got wind and we've got solar. So if you truly want to have nothing to do with anything else of OPPD, you are not required to use electricity. You can use it when the sun is shining and the wind is blowing, and then go, oh, well, no more renewable for me, I'll turn it off. Please don't turn off your refrigerator. That's really important. But you can save a lot of money that way. And if it helps your heart feel better to know that you're not utilizing fossil fuels of any kind, I urge you to do that. But I cannot expect, as a representative of my subdivision, that anybody else is going to do that, or that we ought to. Not when people are buying new electrical gadgets of all kinds and wanting to plug them in. That would be simply irresponsible of me. So I am in favor of this resolution, and I yield back to the chair. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from directors? Director
Hey,
Hudson, go ahead.
Director Carr, I'd like to follow up on Director Spurgeon's comments there. I think CEO Fernandez has done an exceptional job over the last year, leading a very complex, large organization, taking on a wide range of complex, difficult issues, many of which Director Spurgeon just laid out in her comments. And he's kept OPPD in a very strong financial position, which is going to give us the flexibility to make the needed investments in the years ahead to continue to expand and grow our generation capability, our distribution system and transmission networks, to ensure we can provide reliable power throughout OPPD's service area. I strongly support the compensation adjustment for CEO Fernandez.
All right, thank you. Are there any other directors with comments? Director Williams, go ahead.
Great, thanks very much. As highlighted by CEO Fernandez on Tuesday, the ultimate responsibility for performance of the utility is from the CEO to the board on behalf of the customer owners that we represent. And so my comments today about the entire past year focus on that understanding of accountability and his oversight of the executives whose compensation we just voted on. Throughout the course of that last year, I've appreciated hearing from customer owners in the district I represent and from the rest of OPPD's service territory. Over the last few days, I've received comments about both the corporate officer and CEO performance reviews and compensation adjustments. These reviews consider all actions and outcomes of the course of the entire year from April 1st, 2025 until March 30th, 2026. All actions for the entire utility over the course of the entire year. During that period, there was an item that received significantly more public interest and discussion and ultimately led to an action on a recommendation that was originally for the indefinite extension of North Omaha Station. Through collaboration between board members and CEO Fernandez and executives and staff, we ultimately came to a different conclusion about continuing forward with the refill and retirement of North Omaha Station. Board members had extremely detailed conversations, and I think that was a challenging period, but I do appreciate CEO Fernandez's leadership and listening to the board members' comments and feedback on behalf of the customer owners during, again, what was one of the most engaging and complicated times during the course of the last year. As a community advocate and a candidate, and as a board member since 2019, I feel confident in saying that no other person has spent more time or been more focused on policy and action steps necessary to remove coal from North Omaha than I have. And I will continue my focus until this work is complete. At the same time, North Omaha Station is one generating facility in our entire fleet, and environmental sensitivity is one of the 3 parts of the mission of our utility. As has been highlighted during past monitoring reports on important topics of affordability in SD2, which we just discussed, OPPD is near the lowest nationally, but there are also disproportionately high energy burden zip codes, primarily within North Omaha. Regarding reliability, OPPD has some of the best results nationally, and we had expanded data made available this year, which I appreciate. But there are also circuits which have disproportionately high repetitive distribution system outages, and those also are additionally concentrated in North Omaha. On environmental sensitivity, SD7, I have spoken at length about this subject during the monitoring report, during discussions specifically about North Omaha Station, and with appreciation to my colleagues at numerous other times throughout the course of the last year. That policy will be up for review later this year, and I will have more specific comments at that time regarding our performance in that area. Again, this assessment covers all actions of the entire utility over the entire service territory and the oversight of the outcomes of the actions of 2,000 or more employees at OPPD. I sincerely appreciate the work of CEO Fernandez. He has undertaken exceptionally difficult work. He and I have worked closely together on a number of different topics, and I appreciate how close our relationship has been and how many successes we have found, particularly during the course of the last year. And he has led OPPD broadly to significant success on a number of different metrics, even in a time when utilities are challenged across the entire country. At the same time, I hear the voices of the people of my district on the topics that matter most to them, and I will keep that in mind in my vote on this action today. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other directors with comments? Okay. Do any members of the public on WebEx have a comment? Please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can press *3 to raise their hand.
Josh?
Hi, thank you, Josh Monaco. I just wanted to propose as a part owner, as a customer owner here, I would like to propose that we take this money instead and put it into updating the coal plant in North Omaha and also investing in some more renewable energy. Thank you.
Mr. Monaco, thank you for your comment. Are there any other comments?
Anthony Wright?
Mr. Wright, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. Clearly, there's a disconnect between board member Spurgeon's interesting soliloquy and lived reality of Mr. Fernandez's performance. And this perhaps may explain why only 11% of her constituents voted to give her another term, which is why she is disqualified from the next round of voting. The bottom line is that the health of our people also depends on access to clean land, clean water, and clean air. Today, President Obama opened up his presidential library. President Obama is famous for saying the buck stops with me. I appreciate everything that board member Williams said, but the bottom line is we are that community. We do have to deal with everything that happens in our community, which is why we voted for you and we vote for individual board members. So this idea that the people of North Omaha are the ones who have to consider the entire community when we are shouldering the disproportionate burden, when you can't even use a term like environmental justice, that is just. I would close in saying, going back to the idea that the buck stops with the CEO. Mr. Fernandez has still not issued a public apology for the fraudulent health risk assessment. Mr. Fernandez has still not come to North Omaha to apologize for the coal-fired power plants still being in operation. According to Forbes magazine, 31% of CEOs were fired for poor change management, 28% were fired for ignoring customers, 27% for tolerating low performers, 23% for denying reality, and 22% for too much talk and not enough action. It appears that Mr. Fernandez would probably fit into all of those categories. This is absolutely not a time, after one more year of failures, one more year of broken commitments, and one more year of a lack of transparency, not even an official apology to the people of North Omaha, the blackest, the poorest people, the hardest working people. This does not warrant a raise right now. This warrants some serious investigation. I have to urge you all again to please not vote for this. And again, I don't believe that the introduction of Ms. Spurgeon, who is not even going to be a board member next year, is appropriate to kick off this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Lane, are there any other comments online?
David Corbin?
Sir, if you can hear me, go ahead, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
David Corbin, 1002 North 49th Street, representing the Missouri Valley Sierra Club Group. Again, I just want to emphasize all of these justifications for the raises should have been made way long ago so that the public would be able to listen to all the things you said today or see your statements about it. This was not done. I recall one time when the Omaha World Herald had to sue OPPD because they were interviewing candidates for a new CEO and they weren't making the pool of candidates public. This reminds me of the same thing. So again, I will point out the lack of trust, the lack of using the word that you use all the time, transparency and respect. This was not that. And I haven't heard any of the board members speak to any of that. And if it's inappropriate for them to answer that now, then they should answer it at some other time. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments online?
Terrell McKinney.
Mr. McKinney, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Terrell McKinney, Land Justice Director, Boat Alliance. Just commenting again and just speaking to this as and kind of following the previous testifiers, or commenters, a total lack of transparency, a total lack of respect for the North Omaha community. And then we're being gaslit by Director Spurgeon in the beginning, which is, very frustrating for our community that we're being told to consider the rest of the district or the rest of the other counties and those type of things, but we're holding a burden here on being choked out with coal, and you guys are not considering environmental justice or environmental racism that has occurred by OPPD for 40 plus years and beyond. The whole process with the North Omaha station was a travesty. It was a mess. It was disrespectful to the community. And then it was led by CEO Fernandez, who also pushed the bill in the legislature. What was it, 1261, to make it possible for data centers to bring their own energy to our state, which is counter to public power. He was one of those testifiers that voted and supported that. So I don't understand these evaluations. I really don't. I think, you know, everything y'all said about considering this and considering that, we're ranked this and we're ranked that. At the end of the day, the reality is reality. And you guys are not considering that. You're using numbers to justify your votes. And numbers don't always tell the whole story. And you shouldn't just rely on numbers to justify what's in your face. And that's total disrespect for a community, as been stated. Yes, North Omaha is one of the districts that the board has to cover, but we're disproportionately, holding a burden here. And for you guys not to take that in consideration, for you guys not to fully understand that, speaks volumes. And it also speaks volumes because when you look at the makeup of the board, there's no diversity in voices and experiences on the board, and it speaks to how you guys vote. And that's a big problem that really needs to be addressed, is that your board is, I believe, and I
30
might be
seconds.
wrong, almost 100% white, or maybe is, maybe isn't, but I don't recall a Latino being on the board. I don't recall a black person being on the board, and so on. And I think that speaks to your votes, how you guys are not empathetic to the voices and the concerns of the community that you guys are serving. And I think you guys need to do a better job. And I think you should also not vote to do this, but I know you will. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments online?
Ken Winston.
Mr. Winston, go ahead if you can hear me.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. Well, My name's Ken Winston. I'm appearing on behalf of the Nebraska Sierra Club and our more than 5,000 members and supporters in OPPD service territory. I actually wasn't going to comment, and then I heard the comments of a couple of board members and was offended by them. I found them very patronizing and talking down to us as though we don't understand what's going on here. And so I'm going to repeat, this is a matter of trust. And I personally was in meetings with CEO Fernandez when he personally promised that North Omaha would be closed in 2026. Several meetings, several times. It wasn't just once, repeatedly. And now you're saying that's okay. We don't care. That doesn't matter. We don't care whether the public trusts us or not. That doesn't matter to you. And you're saying instead we're going to give him a $45,000 raise. There's a lot of people in North Omaha who don't make $45,000. So I'm just very disappointed. And I don't think you're listening to the community. I don't think you're listening to the people that you represent. And I encourage you to vote against this. I know you won't, but I would like to see at least 1 or 2 votes against this raise. And by the way, I as I said earlier, I know CEO Fernandez personally, think he's a great guy, but that's not what you're voting on. You're voting on giving him a pay increase based upon his performance, and I think his performance is lacking. So thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments online?
No more comments.
Okay, without any other comments, Ms. Lane, will you take the roll?
Bogner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Core,
Yes.
Howard,
Abstain.
Hudson,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Spurgeon,
Yes.
Williams.
Abstain.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, and with that, we'll turn it over to Mr. Fernandez for the president's report.
Okay, thank you, Chair Core. I apologize for the ruffling of pages here. I have that in front of my microphone. I'm going to read my president's report. We are coming out of outage season, planned outage season, as we're getting into the hot months of the year. Nebraska City Station, both units operated all month for the most part, except for small outages, but they were available and operated all month. As you can see below, North Omaha units 4 and 5 had planned outages. They were completed at the end of the month. So that explains the lower capacity factors. These are the outages that we take right before the hot season of the year. Next slide, please. It has been windy. I think that's an understatement. It's the stormy season, and that means that our balancing station fleet and our renewable fleet are interacting more than usual on other months of the year. And you can see that reflected in here. Our Cass County generation station, it was available for the entire month. It was not called upon, and that reflects a 0. Jones Street, so very little activity. Sarpy County, a little bit more. And you can see here the value of Turtle Creek Station and Standing Bear Lake Station. The location of those 2 brand new power plants is really showing up here, and that they were called for by the Southwest Power Pool several times during the month of May, and you can see that reflected here on their capacity factors. A good reminder for the public, especially in the topic of North Omaha units 1, 2, and 3, that only operate on gas today. The gas is not available until the 1st of June. So those 3 units, by definition, didn't see any activity in the month of May. But now gas is available, and they will be available to balance our system in the summer. Next slide, please. On our renewable portfolio, as the year progresses, we are seeing higher capacity factors. Capacity factors for renewables in total, the average was 41.4%. You can see the capacity factors for community solar and Platteview Solar is increasing. Platteview Solar is 32.1% just earlier this morning and yesterday morning. Platteview Solar had a total output of 81 megawatts, which is what it was designed. So solar irradiance is here, and we're getting all the value from that solar array. Capacity factor of wind was 38.5%, and we expect that to continue throughout the month of June. Next slide, please. Honoring our communities is, again, one of my favorite slides. It's on June 5th, our employees. So this is June 5th. It's not a May report, but I think it's timely. Our employees brought our core values of passion to serve, honoring our community, and care about each other. They brought that to life in the Minnelusa neighborhood. Partnering with Habitat for Humanity Omaha, we painted, trimmed, cleaned, repaired, and did whatever was needed to support neighbors and refresh the block. We're proud of the impact our employees make across the communities we serve. On that same topic, next slide, please. On Tuesday, May 26th, employees volunteered at the Nebraska Diaper Bank. In the short time frame of 90 minutes, they were able to wrap 23,580 diapers. That will have a direct impact for 393 babies this month. I had to read that number twice because it is quite a large number, and I'm very proud of the work that our employees do in the community. And last slide, please. This is a really hard one for me. I would like to take a moment to honor the memory of an employee and a dear friend. We recently lost, just a few days ago, Marjorie Bensinger, a Treasury representative, passed away on June 10th. Marge, as she liked to be called, worked at OPPD for 26 years and was a dedicated member of IBEW Local 1483, where she served as treasurer since 2016. She was an active volunteer and was known for her commitment to community service. She is survived by her husband, Chris, her children, Caden and Kelsey, her brothers and sister, and many nieces and nephews. Marge was a dedicated employee that we will miss very, very much. If you were ever having a rough day at work, in the office, you knew that if you were down to visit Marge, she would make you smile. That was the way she lived life, and we're all going to miss her dearly. And with that, Chair Core, that's the end of my report.
All right, thank you for your report. Now's the time for public comment period on other items of district business. If any members of the public have comments on other items, please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can press *3 to raise their hand.
Josh.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to know, in 2024, a $15,000 donation was made to the far-right hate group ALEC. And I wanted to know, as a customer owner, what am I getting for my money out of that donation? Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Ms. Lane, are there any other comments?
Yes. John Pollock.
Mr. Pollock, can you hear me? Mr. Pollock, you're available to speak if you can hear me. And Ms. Lane, is he muted or unmuted?
We are working with him to get him unmuted.
Great, thank you.
We have unmuted him, but there's no response.
Okay, Mr. Pollock. All right, Ms. Lane, are there any other comments online?
Yes, Anthony Wright.
Okay, Mr. Wright, go ahead, please.
Thank you so much. According to a recent Morning Consult poll, 71% of United Statesians oppose data centers in their community, including 75% of Democrats, 74% of independents, and 63% of Republicans. We haven't seen this much tripartisan agreement since the 1980 U.S. hockey team won the gold medal. The point that I'm trying to make here is the fact that OPPD continues to sign non-disclosure agreements with big tech corporations ahead of time. I understand that LB 1010 just passed, but the bottom line is we are still not getting the full information that we need, because that information and all their reporting occurs after the data center has been built. LB 1010 also does not require data centers to disclose the level of emissions that they're spewing into our communities, most likely through methane gas, but also coal. As I mentioned earlier, we do know that President Trump has been making machinations to keep coal burning and burn even more coal. So my comment really has to do with this idea. This meeting started off with transparency, with trust. We've heard lots of discussions about that already, lots of comments about that. Why does OPPD continue to sign non-disclosure agreements if it is a public power district? What kind of public power district makes private deals with big tech corporations? I have to recommend that the OPPD board seriously look at ending this practice of signing non-disclosure agreements. The last thing that I do want to say is that, again, you have not disclosed to the people that the 10 purple air quality monitors made as part of the deal that you made with Sierra Club. I don't remember what year it was. The first time that you said you were going to shut down the coal-fired power plant, they are not operating. So the health risk assessment, in addition to being fraudulent, is rooted in bad science and rooted in mechanisms that weren't even working. When can we expect a proper health risk assessment that is done objectively and has not been commissioned by the Edison Corporation, who we know has ties to the fossil fuel industry? This meeting has shown everyone that you cannot have public power without having public trust. And right now, board members, vice presidents, CEO Fernandez, you do not have the public trust. I recommend you do everything in your power to fix that, to mollify that, to assuage the public's concerns. Because contrary to Mr. Begley's earlier comments that all of this consternation is coming from the left, it could be coming from anyone. It could be coming from anyone who's afraid of their bills going up, who's afraid of their water getting sucked up, and who's afraid of their air being
30 seconds.
Thank you so much, and that's all I got.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments online?
No more comments.
And how about Mr. Pollock? Any luck there?
We just tried again here. We'll give him a second. We do have another comment. We can move to David Begley.
Okay, Mr. Begley, go ahead, please. Mr. Begley, can you hear us? Okay, to Mr. Pollock and Mr. Begley, if you have any comments, please remember that anything can be submitted to corporate secretary at oppd.com for us to read. I'm going to check in one more time if either of you can hear me. Miss Lane, is that there was a little bit of background noise? Is that from either of them?
That was probably from me.
Okay.
We don't have
And-
any other comments.
Okay, thank you. And then just one more time as a reminder, if comments need to be received on our behalf, they can go to corporate.secretary@oppd.com. Thank you, everyone. Have a safe evening, and we are adjourned at 6:40 p.m.